Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello, and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Today's silhouette of success is just who and what we need daily today, and it is my honor to present her to you. Although she needs no introductions, as the clips from her pink pants has gotten her over 18 million views. She's appeared multiple times on the Grand Ole Opry, and her TedxChattanooga talk, mouthful for me, Cancer is a Laughing Matter, has really solidified her as a highly sought-after keynote speaker. She is without hesitation the epitome of everything inspirational, motivational, and downright joyful. She has a brilliant and innate ability to see and bring humor to every situation, and she lights up the room the moment she enters and is an all-star in everything she does. To me, she exemplifies and embodies all of the qualities, skills, and talents to help provide you thoughts of motivation, intentional inspiration to get you one step closer to your goals and dreams with a smile on your face. So please help me welcome Karen Mills, national touring comedian. Hello, Karen.
Hello, Amber. That was quite an introduction. I don't know if I can live up to that.
Oh, I tell you what, I have no doubts you're going to blow it out of the park. No doubts. Oh, well, goodness, Karen, once again, as you can tell, I'm a little giddy and beyond excited to talk with you. You made quite an impression in my life from the one time that I was fortunate to see you in person, and that was here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It was at the Pink and Teal Luncheon where my fabulous friend Leslie invited me, and your presentation was enchanting. And it's rare that I belly laugh, and you had me going the whole time. So I am honored that you are visiting with us as you share your Silhouette of Success story with the audience today.
Well, first of all, that was a wonderful event, the Pink Teal event. And I just had such a fantastic time being there. The audience was wonderful. So I'm so glad that you took something from that luncheon that helped you, made you laugh, or lifted your spirit. So that makes me feel like that I did my job. So that's very good to know and very kind to you.
Absolutely. Well, Karen, let's help share your Silhouette of Success and illustrate the early shapings of it for our audience. Would you like to share a little bit about your background?
Well, I'm from Cleveland, Tennessee, which is 30 miles from Chattanooga, which is where I live now. I started playing sports from the day I could walk. I had a ball in my hand. In the third grade, I started practicing every day after school with the 7th and 8th graders. And because I was so small, the coach wouldn't let me scrimmage with the older girls because he was afraid I would get hurt. So I would do ball handling drills on the sidelines every day for 2 hours, just like I was at practice, just like the big girls. And then, I'm only 5'2". So as it turns out, even though I have very large hands and feet, and the doctor always told my mom I was going to grow, I never did. But that time spent working on my ball handling ended up paving the way for my college degree. I went to UT Chattanooga on a basketball scholarship, and I led the nation in assists, and all that came, I believe. And what I was being prepared for at a very young age, which was being able to do what a shorter player must do, and that is develop passing and ball handling skills. So I started there, and then everyone assumed that I would coach whenever my eligibility was up after I graduated college, which I assumed the same thing. It was like my default profession. But I did a year as a graduate assistant, and I just didn't love it the way I love playing. And so I kind of floundered for a few years, and I moved to Atlanta, and I took an acting class, which I really enjoyed. But what I didn't like was that I go for an audition and not get the part for some reason that had nothing to do with acting, too short, too tall, too blonde, too this, too that. And so that really, I'm a person that always wanted the ball in sports, and I'll fly or die with it. And that's what I didn't like about acting, is it was in someone else's hands. And when I would watch Johnny Carson, and he would have a comedian on, I can remember thinking, I really think I could do that. And so finally I got the nerve to go to the Punchline for open mic night. And after I went up, the manager came over and said, you have the stage presence and you have the delivery, but you really have to learn to write your own material, because all I knew how to do was tell a joke. So I took a writing class. Then I went back to the Punchline, and he hired me to open. I never looked back. And what's great about comedy is if you make them laugh, you get to come back, period. The ball, once again, was in my hands. If I did what I was supposed to do and I was able to make the audience laugh, I could keep working.
What a cool journey. What a cool experience for you to be able to sort through that. So really, it sounds like early on.
I always loved growing up when I would have basketball practice, so I could never be in any plays, or even though drama was my favorite class, I could never do plays or anything because I always was committed to sports. But I always loved it. And even when I was in school at UTC, we had this thing called Meet the Mocks, and we would introduce the players to all the booster club members. And I used to write Saturday Night Live type sketches and introduce each player through some funny means of a sketch. And this older man, I would say he was probably in his mid 80s, came up to me afterwards one night and said, what do you plan on doing? And I said, well, when I finish my eligibility, I'm going to coach. And he said, really? He said, you need to rethink this. You need to rethink that, because this is your gift.
Wow.
And I never forgot that. At the time, I thought, yeah, but I got to have health insurance. I can't just go off, But I never considered it as a career growing up. It was just something I loved. But at the time, I was so wrapped up in sports, it just didn't occur to me to even think about what I wanted to do after sports.
What a gift it was for him to approach you. So that was actually a question I was going to ask you, and you just answered it ahead of time, is how did you embark on the career path that you're on? And how amazing that somebody was able to identify that and took the time to come share that with you.
I know. And I've thought so much about just his wisdom. And I don't even think anyone else in my circle even looked at me in any other light other than sports to even say, what do you really want to do? Or this is also a gift you have. You need to explore that. I mean, it was just like everything was taken for granted, it seems.
Yeah.
So it really was a gift.
Yes, it is. And the spectrum, again, we get, I think, I don't know, is it called pigeonholed, or, people put us in these specific categories or boxes, so that he was able to see that, we are all blessed for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And that was like 2 years prior to me graduating, but it impacted me so much that through the years that kept replaying in my mind what that man said to me.
Yeah. Well, so as you embarked on that journey, or now that you have been on it for a little bit, looking back, is there something that you wish, or career advice or life advice that you wish someone would have shared with you?
Well, I think the life advice is always do what you love to do. But I don't know that I could have heard it at that time because I also love sports. And I was so in it, I was so deep in it that I don't think I could have considered anything else until it was gone. And it took my entire identity away from me, by the way. I was drafted to play professionally, but that was the WBL back then, the Women's Basketball League. They didn't have the support of the NBA. So there was no WNBA. It was just the Women's Basketball League. Well, 2 weeks before I was supposed to report to camp, which in fact was in Dallas, the league folded because of lack of funds. And so then I was kind of just left without having any clue who I was or what I was going to do. It was a pretty big identity crisis there for a little while because it defined me my whole life.
So, okay, so we're going to take this a different direction for a second and explore that. So how did you come out of that? Do you remember, did somebody help you? Was it something, I mean, what did you do in those moments?
I struggled, but I can remember, and this was very random, and it makes me feel like a big old wuss saying that now. Even hearing the words that I said back then as a 21-year-old makes me want to roll my eyes. But I can remember saying, someone stopped me in a department store and said, "I know who you are." It was a supporter of, knew me from basketball. And this was like, 6 months after my eligibility was over and I was out of school. And I said, "You know who I used to be?"
Uh-huh.
And she said, "Oh, come on. My husband acts that way. Like now that he's finished his sports, he's not." She said, "Come on."
Yeah.
And I never forgot that either. That impacted me like what the man said. And I thought, how pathetic are you? So that's when I realized, okay, we need to regroup. And, I just need to figure out what I love now and who I am now. But certainly I'm 21 years old. My life's not over. I need to, just recalibrate.
Don't I roll? Because I think we all experience that in so many different aspects of our life. And when that identity is tied so hard, it's very difficult to see outside of that. And when, so no, that's life lesson right there. That's huge.
Well,
Wow.
And I think one thing that has really helped me with since is I do have, I still do and say and things that, I could roll my eyes at myself for, but it did create a self-awareness in me.
Yes.
That I think has served me my entire life.
Yes, love that. Okay, well, we're going to switch back now because that was too interesting because, again, we're here to help inspire and motivate. And I'll tell you what, it's real and it's raw and it's painful sometimes and it's eye-opening and all of those things happen to all of us. So thank you for exploring that a little bit deeper. Okay, so Karen, the alarm clock buzzes. A work day or a day kicks off for you. So share with us what a day in the life looks for you. Do you favor a routine or a schedule? Or are you more spontaneous?
Right now, I'm a bit of a creature of habit that I'm trying to break out of. I'm in the process now of starting a 30-day miracle morning challenge. So that's what I'm getting ready to start because I'm trying to break some habits. But normally I get up, I have coffee, I check my emails, I walk the dogs, I feed the dogs, I let the cat in, I let the cat out, I let the cat in, I let the cat out, and then I'll work on material. I'll just try to get a schedule with my social media, what I'm posting, and then what I need to record or what's coming up for different platforms. And I'll make some calls and do some emails, and then I'll walk and feed dogs again. So that, but I get a lot of walks in. I get a lot of nature time in, which I love. But I need to get up earlier. I usually get up about 7, but I'm going to start trying to get up more like 6 and get a real workout in. and do my meditation, do all the things that I know makes my life better. That's one thing that I've never understood is when you know A, B, C, and D will make your life better, why that is so challenging to do A, B, and C, and D. I don't get it. You know, it's going to make your life better. So anyway, I falter just like everybody else, but I always keep trying to get back on the horse and form better habits. So, and I go see my mom at least twice a week to do her grocery shopping, to laundry, anything she needs to. So I work that into my schedule. So it's
just
flexible.
a little here, a little there.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes I feel like I'm working in the cracks, and I really need to be doing the other things in the cracks. So I don't always prioritize what I need to, but I'm trying to do better.
Yeah. And we hear when we observe successful people, and again, success is defined, right, in our own ways or for, the perception sometimes of looking. So all of those things that you just mentioned, we hear that we all have the same amount of time in a day, but we look at you or we look at other strong females and we wonder to ourselves, and sometimes we ask directly, but how does she do it? So how do you fit it all in? As you work on your habits, as you talked about, or different habits, are you more hard goal oriented with accountability in place? Anything you'd want to share, tips or tricks for us?
Well, I wish I had some, magic formula that everyone could apply, but I really try to do the hard things first, just so I can get them out of the way. And that's been something I've had to really work on because, there are a lot of people are procrastinators, but I'm actually a pro at it. I'm a professional procrastinator. So no, I'm getting better at that too. But I get a lot done, but sometimes I feel like the day is gone and I'm like, I have worked all day and I still haven't accomplished as much as I would like to. So I know I can always do better. I mean, for me, I'm always trying to do better. And I get criticized a lot by my manager that I'm such a perfectionist that it prevents me from checking things off and getting things done. So that's something else I'm working on.
Do they say there's danger in perfect? That's what I hear.
Yes.
Yes, you've heard that one. Yes, it impedes the progress sometimes a little bit. I hear you.
It does. Someone can say, well, you do a 5-minute video and that would take me longer than going on live and doing 30 minutes because when I see it, I'm like, oh, that could have been better. Oh, it's just like that. But once you do it live, when it's out there, it's gone, it's over, And so I have to watch it.
I know. Sometimes the technology is to the detriment, right?
You're right. It is. Yeah.
Not as efficient as it seems to be because we have what you like is some control, right?
Exactly right.
Just a wee bit. Oh, goodness. So thinking back or could be more current, has there ever been a specific point in time or event or key situation in your life or professional life that forced you to take a monumental shift in your business or career? If you can think of something to share, what was it? And positive or painful, how did that help you grow?
Well, certainly ovarian cancer forced me to make some changes. And it really, a lot of my fellow comedians accuse me of doing the whole cancer thing as a career move because good or bad, whatever I'm going through, that's what I talk about, whether it's something that happens at the grocery store or whether it's going through cancer. And there's a lot of people that once in a while will come up to me and say, cancer's not funny, but it's my coping skill. There's a lot of funny things that happened while I was going through cancer. And I'm going to share that because that's what I believe to help heal. And the first thing my doctor said to me after he diagnosed me with cancer was, I don't care who it is, get negative people out of your life so that you can heal. He said, it's that important to your recovery. And so, when people say, where do you get your material? I say living life, good or bad. And so cancer changed me as a person because stand-up comedy used to be more about my ego. If I got up and I could make you laugh, then that meant I was a good comedian and that fed me. But once I started sharing my cancer story, and people would come up to me afterwards and say, "Thank you so much. That's the first time I've seen my mom laugh since she was diagnosed." Or "Thank you so much for giving me hope and reminding me how healing laughter can be." And then suddenly, instead of my story, my comedy being about what I was getting, it started to be about what I was giving. And so that changed me tremendously.
It's a true divine intervention, if you will, in sharing that with others and what it does allow someone to do. And it allows them to really release a little bit. And on top of that, they're not alone anymore. That's totally healing, right?
Exactly. And I've told people, because I find humor, my TEDx talk, that was another thing that changed in terms of changing my business. How I grew from it too is I was invited to do TedxChattanooga, and that's when I did Cancer is a Laughing Matter. And I started being asked to be the keynote speaker, and I had not been in that realm prior to that. I've done 7 commencement addresses. I've done so much speaking now, and I still do a ton of comedy, and everything is with humor, but it also gave me the opportunity because there's a very, very serious side to me. And it gave me the opportunity to share a lot of life lessons and to hopefully touch people in a way that might improve their life. And I think there's no better way to get people to hear it than when you're using humor.
Well, it's interesting because I can hear the serious tone, if you will, or the undertone. Perhaps that was the wrong word, but I can hear and I can feel through your voice the heart in you. And of course I know you're hilarious, and because you've entertained us, and like I think I put an email back to you. We were driving the other day, and one of the Sirius XM, your bit came on of, biblical tweets. I'm like, oh, that's Karen, and then another one came on, and, shame on me, but I was trying to take a picture. We were at a stoplight, and I was like, I got a reminder, I heard that one. And, I don't think that it was like a blur because I had to go. But it's interesting, that you're able to take your heart and soul and your serious side of the life lessons and the serious factor for the commencement. And I hear in you both. And so I'm grateful that you've had that opportunity to explore the full spectrum of what your gifts and experiences and talents can be for others.
Well, thank you. I hope people take from it something that they can apply and will help them in their life, because, I had a recurrence. A lot of people don't realize that. But in November of 2019, I had a recurrence and had to go through 35 rounds of radiation. So when I come back to Pink Teal, there will be another chapter, but I'm doing great now. And I took it in stride and just learned a very valuable lesson, because I was 6 years out and I made all these changes initially after cancer, with my diet, with exercise, with so many positive changes. And as it got a little bit further in my rearview mirror, I started being a little more slack on some things. Mm-hmm. And I kind of thought, that whole cancer thing was a fluke.
Sure.
So it was quite a wake-up call, because once I hit the 5-year mark, I thought, woohoo, that's over. That was a fluke. I'm done. I'm good. I'm good to go. And, I started eating things I shouldn't be eating. And, sugar is the devil. And then that popped up, and it just reminded me that not to let that happen, that this is a life change, and it's a change for the better. Again, whether you've had cancer or haven't, you need to make these healthy choices, because if you want longevity, if you want to live a good life, if you want all the things that life has to offer you, you need to keep yourself in good health. Just like with COVID, that's who it hit hardest, or people who were, were more susceptible, that were not in as good a health, not exclusively, but you know what I'm saying. Sure. And so it's important to do that. And we can't get remove from it when you're not in it in this moment, and just forget that what that means. So it was a valuable lesson. And when I went into radiation, about halfway through, the technician said, "How you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm tired because I was having my whole pelvis radiated." And she said, "Yeah, it's they say that radiation is equivalent. One treatment of radiation is equivalent to an 8-hour shift." And I said, "Well, let's be clear on the 8-hour shift. It's not an 8-hour shift house sitting. It's an 8-hour shift on a stripper pole. I mean, this is a tough 8-hour shift."
Right.
But anyway, but again, just always finding the humor, and but life's good. It's just part of it, how you navigate things, and humor helps so much to move you forward.
Sometimes just to have that little dose of inspiration to get you through those valuable, difficult lessons that you learn, and rejoicing in the little lemonade that you can squeeze out of your lemon sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're looking for it, right, we can find it. So a couple of things, just kind of shifting a little bit more as we are respecting your schedule here. But do you have a favorite book or genre or any resources that maybe you turn to that are favorites or uplifting, motivational? What do you enjoy?
There are so many people who inspire me. I love Brene Brown, Glennon Doyle, a couple of my favorite authors. And of course, Oprah, Maya Angelou was a favorite of mine. And Tina Turner has always inspired me. She is the epitome of check your problems at the stage door and go out and do your best. Leanne Morgan, friend of mine, who's also a comic, you may know Leanne. We always, it doesn't matter if it's had a chemo treatment or whatever. When I'm about to go out on stage, we always say, well, I quipped Tina before she went out and did unbelievable performance. So everybody can just suck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's a big inspiration. And I tell you who else I love is Pink, because she is unapologetic about who she is. And I think that is so important for every person to be authentic. And I know that I haven't always been, and I think that can manifest itself into cancer, or some other problem. So I spent a lot of years worrying about what they think, and I don't even know who they are.
Interesting.
And so, I just think it's so important to do you.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, being true to you, and next to that, I had written authentic. So I love that you brought that back up. That is amazing. Great, solid advice. Sometimes that we need to hear over and over, right?
Exactly. It's not the first time you just get it and apply it. We've all heard it, right?
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Well, how do you relax and unwind? What do you do? What feeds your soul?
Well, I love to take walks, and I love nature. I love animals. I love to watch movies. I fall asleep every night watching Friends. I am a Friends freak. Do you like Friends?
So I do, but I'm laughing because I'm a Golden Girls fall asleeper.
Oh, okay. Well, oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Friends used to come on Thursday nights when I was traveling all the time and working comedy clubs. So when it was actually on, I never saw it. So when I was going through chemo was the first time I ever started watching it in reruns. And I always say Friends got me through chemo, because I would just lay there and just laugh, and it helped me so much. But I am a huge Friends fan. And then I also and I do love books. I do more audio books when I walk, because I like to be read too, because apparently I'm 6. I don't know, but and then anything looking at water. I think my spirit animal's a dolphin, because if I can get to the ocean, then there's nothing better.
Therapeutic.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and the other reason I was giggling about Friends is my daughter, she's 24, but she has all the collections on DVDs, and she's probably doing the same thing you're doing every night, over and over and over. Yeah. So I told her, I'm like, we're going to have to get you a new entire set. Wow. Well, Karen, you warm the heart. You do make the cheekbones, exercise. And I am just honored to have a different side to share with the audience of you. And again, I can hear it and feel it through your voice. And you just impress me more than you've already impressed me. And so thank you for sharing this time. And it's truly, truly a blessing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Amber. You're so kind. I really appreciate that.
Well, and please, it is an honor. So as we wrap up our visit today, in keeping a promise to share intentional inspiration with the audience, if there was one key piece of go-to advice to share with them, what would that be?
Again, I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but my key advice is to look for the humor in life, to be authentically yourself, and give to others, because it will always come back to you. I always thought that, I got this, I'm good, I don't need anything. But cancer taught me really quickly that we do need each other. So if we can be there for each other in the good times and the bad times, it will lift us up. And here's the other thing: get negative people out of your life. I don't care who it is, because it's that important. Because negativity is its own disease, and it afflicts everyone around it.
Powerful. Noted. Noted. I got quiet. You had my wheels turning, but yes. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. All right, my lady. So where can our audience go to find you on your socials, or any contact information you want to share to support you in your continued success?
KarenMills.com is my website. And then I'm at Karen Mills Comedy on TikTok and also on Instagram. I would like to tell you I was Karen Mills Comedy on Facebook, but unfortunately Facebook disabled my page. So I'm trying to get that back up.
Oh.
They're I don't know, but because I used a short clip of a song on a video with my dog, and they said it was copyright violation, said it was strike 2. And I said, well, I never got strike 1, or I wouldn't have done it. But I mean, everybody does it. They play them on Good Morning America every day of somebody doing something with the music in the background. So I don't know. I've appealed it, but I was told that it was okay as long as you weren't making money on it. So I thought I was okay. But you can't get anybody to say anything, answer, nothing. So anyway.
I see a movement in the future. That's all I'll say there.
I didn't mean to go on that rant. But anyway, Karen Mills Comedy and KarenMills.com.
Awesome. Awesome. And we will be sure and share that in the resources. Well, Karen, thank you once again for our enjoyable visit, your remarkable journey, the humor, and your silhouette of success story. It has been a true gift. And again, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out, and join us for all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. Amber would love to hear from you, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or head over to amberweitzer.com. Let's connect. Help us all shine and leave us a review too. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at amberweitzer.com. We are honored, humbled, and full of joy that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer Podcast, Silhouettes of Success.